Hello guys, welcome to B Sports Picks. Today I'm going to hook you guys up with 4 batter props, and also I'm going to show you something that I'm working on called player strikeouts. So I'm going to tell you how I come up with these player strikeouts. I've been testing it a little bit. I'm not too sure exactly which way I'm going to go with it, but I'm going to show you my process so you can see how I've been coming up with these what do you call these? The strikeouts. So I'm going to give you guys 4 batter props. Let me quickly go through. It was a decent day yesterday. It was a 4-1, or I'm sorry, it was 7-3 day. It was decent overall. It was a small winning day because some of the losses are bigger than the wins, and that's because of the odds. And I'll get into that once I get there. So basically, we had one of the things I wanted to explain was these odds. So for example, you can see right here, Bobby Witt Jr. His odds right here are minus 290, and then if you look at Ronald Acuna Jr., his odds are minus 320. So if you parlay both of these together, you're going to get about a average of about like a minus 120, 130 for 2 batters. Now, if you know anything about sports betting, any one of these legs can kill the parlay. So if Bobby Witt Jr. didn't get a hit or Ronald Acuna Jr. didn't get a hit, then it kills the parlay. So it's obviously a bigger risk. But again, you want to stay away from parlays unless they're super heavy juiced. So like, for example, again, 290, 320. Anyways, that I'll get into a little deeper into that. But you can see right here, we had the Reds on the money line that hit. And then Jose Ramirez, you can see I went straight up with this guy for 270, 275. And then I had the Reds at a +1 as a little bit of an insurance. I'm not going to get into all that. I explained that yesterday. And then again, Trey Turner, you can see minus 260. So I guess what I'm trying to show here with the batters. And then we had the Yankees and the Giants. I went deep into this yesterday on why. I just kept it in there. I didn't want to take it out. And sure enough, the Giants came back and won the game. So that was decent for us as well. This one, only one of the batters played. The other guy didn't play. This Acuna guy didn't play. So Jake Myers, he got a under RBI. And again, guys, it goes back to the 1 hits. I'm going to hook you guys up with 4 batter props, and then I'm going to look at some pitcher strikeouts so you can see how I do that. That sounds good to you? Let's ride. Before I get started, guys, I want to say that if you want the edge over the sports books, make sure you check out the links in the description, especially the one that says the sharp edge. I'm not going to get into that today, but there's a lot of data that goes into that. We filter out a bunch of games. We actually go through all the entire slate, and then it filters down all the way down to like only like 2 or 3 games that we're looking at. And then from those 3 games, we do the full deep analysis on those games. And then sometimes, like yesterday, I went through that whole breakdown of the Yankees, the Giants, and what was the other one? The Reds. So it was a decent day, like I mentioned. But once you have all the data in front of you, just like Vegas does, you have a better chance to hit these plays. Now, let me give you the batter props, and then let me explain. So let me just give you the batter props right now. I'm gonna hook you guys up with 5 batter props here. I'm gonna tell you how I look at these batters. Okay. So somebody asked me yesterday. One of the VIP members, he asked me, he says, can you give me a list of exactly how you're playing these? And I try to do it today, and it's a damn headache, and I can't do it. And there's several reasons why. So for example, I have Zach Neto, I have Jose Ramirez, Ronald Acuna Jr., Julio Rodriguez, and Shohei Ohtani. Now, there's a lot more than that. I put them into the VIP already. I gave a full list of that. I told you I was going to give you 4, but now I'm giving you 5. So let me just give you an example of why I can't break these down for you. I can tell you I'm going to take these as 1 hits, but again, it's a damn headache, and it's not really worth doing it for many reasons. But let me explain why and how you can get the best odds also. So for example, Zach Neto right here, if you go to this drop down right here, if in Outlier, you can see that FanDuel has them at minus 300, DraftKings has them at 360, 375, 400. Sleeper has them at 435. So it goes all the way from Price Picks 137 all the way up to 435. Now, if I'm giving you 2 batters, right? So for example, I went with Zach Neto, and what was the other one? And Jose Ramirez, for example, right? And I was able to get him at 290. Now you see, if you look at my daily breakdowns, you can see these batters are 290, 320, 275. So basically, I guess what I'm trying to say, there's no way for me to tell you go with a Zach Neto by himself and then parlay together Ramirez and Acuna, and then sometimes you can't find a certain batter, and it's too many contradiction. I mean, too many different things that can happen. That way, I'd rather just give you the list, and then you guys can figure out if you want to do single bets or parlays or things like that. So the way I would do this again is I'm going to explain it very clearly. Like, for example, if the odds are minus 290 or better, like meaning 280, 270, 260, anything like that, I do them straight up because these are hitting at such a high rate that you can pay the juice at a minus 270, minus 280, minus 290. But now if it goes like minus 300, minus 310, minus 320, as you saw, then you might want to do parlays. Okay. Now, sometimes you get to an end of a list. Like, for example, I'm not going to throw all 5 of these together. So there might be one guy that's left over at the end. Then from there, I'm going to look for a team that I can parlay it with, or I'll just skip it. Now, the only other way that I can think of that you can bring these odds down is if you get something called sports alerts. Now, inside of sports alerts, you can say, I want you to tell me, like, send me a message on my phone. It's an app on your phone, and it's going to say, send me a message when Zach Neto comes up to bat. Okay. So then it'll send you an alert. And then all you got to do is open up your book, and then it'll tell you Zach Neto did get a hit or he didn't get a hit. If he did not get a hit, then you place the bet live. And when you do it live, it's going to be if he did not get a hit. If he did not get a hit and you're doing it live, the odds are going to go dramatically down. I've seen it drop almost 100 points. So, for example, if the Zach Neto started at 290, for example, after the first at bat, if he didn't get a hit, it goes all the way down to 190. It is a shitload of work because you have to go into sports alerts, put his name, get the alert, and then once you get the alert, you have to be active on your phone. Then you have to go to the sports book and then wait for it to set it live. It's a little bit more work, but it is worth it because the odds dropped dramatically down. So I just gave you 3 different ways you can do these batter props. Make sure you check that out. If you still have questions, let me know. Send me a message on Discord, things like that. All right, so let me get into, if you like this sort of breakdown, guys, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this video when I post it. Also comment, stuff like that. I appreciate that. Also give it a thumbs up when you see it come up. All right, so now let me give you this breakdown of what I'm working on. I went to MLB strikeouts per game. It's something called team rankings. So then what I did is I sorted this. So I'm looking at all the worst teams in baseball right now as far as the last 3 games. As you can see, there's a list right here: Milwaukee Brewers, Boston Red Sox, Chicago White Sox, Angels, and Nationals. Okay. By the way, I'm looking at the Mets today. They're going against the Nationals. As you can see, in the last 3 games, the Nationals are the worst, the 5th worst to strike out. Okay. So that's the beginning part. I'm looking at the worst teams that get strucken out. Now, second thing from there, once I have that list of 5 teams, I'm going to go into Fantasy Alarm and I'm going to look at the 5 teams. All right. So you have to individually go into each one of these. So, for example, Milwaukee, right? Let's see, Milwaukee Brewers. So this is the example. You have to go through the picture. So let me show you what you do, but then I'll show you what I went with. Okay. So then you go into Fantasy Alarm, and then you have to look at the pitcher versus the team. So, for example, you got to look at all these data here, all this data. So you can see all their averages versus this pitcher. Now that you have all this data versus this pitcher, then if it looks good, then you continue. If it doesn't look good, then you stop. Okay, but if it does look good, then you continue. So again, step 1 is to get the 5 worst teams in the last 3 games. So I sorted by the last 3 games, and then I see the 5 worst teams. Okay. From there, you got to go and manually look at each team compared to that pitcher. So over here it says opposing pitcher, and then it tells you how this team does against this pitcher. There's a lot of different free services that allow you to look at this stuff. One of them is Fantasy Alarm. The other one, this one is paid. It's Outlier. So this is actually crazy, but let me explain that in a little bit. This is the way it looks for Outlier. For Fantasy Alarm, which is free. It gives you the full breakdown of the batters versus the pitcher. Once you do that, you can go to MLB.com, and then you can type it in right here, and it'll look just like this. And it'll have OPS, OPS, OPS. So you can see a lot of these guys get great hits off this guy. So I'm not looking at that because they do get a lot of hits. Right here. So now that I found the pitcher that I'm going with, which is for the Cubs, I'm going to go against the guy for the Cubs, which is Ben Brown. Okay. You can see right here, all of these guys: Bryson Stott, Schwarber. No, I'm sorry, Bohm. So Bohm. Okay. Let me go back. Stott has 2 hits. Turner has 0 hits. Bohm has 1 hit. Castellanos has 2 hits. Kepler 2 hits. Bottom line, look at these averages are amazing compared to this guy here. All right. Once you have that data that it looks good, out of those 5 teams, only one of them looks good, which is the Phillies versus the Cubs. Now I go deeper into this, this is MLB.com. You go to Phillies versus Brown, which is for the Cubs. Now you can see OPS is 1.0, 2.0, 2.0, 1.0, 0.500, 1.3. This is a great OPS record for any team against the pitcher. Okay. What you're looking for is OPS +1. All right. Now that I have all that, I went deeper into this, and this stood out to me amazing. Check this out. This dude, B. Brown, like I said, his ERA is 5.37 right here normally for this season. However, when he plays against the Phillies, he's 14.73, that's why it's in red, because it's horrible. That's a horrible ERA for any pitcher. So basically, he's decent, not even decent. 5.37 is not decent. It's like pretty bad. And then you go against Philly, and then look at that record right there. So basically, guys, this is what I'm trying to say. I went with with the Phillies in the first 5 innings to win, or just all they have to be doing is either winning or tied. If it's a tie, it's a push. But if they're winning, then you win. And the reason I did that for the first 5 innings is because I'm going against this pitcher specifically. So I hope that makes sense, guys. Now, I guess I said I was going to talk about the pitcher strikeouts, but this one stood out to me because of what I just said. So basically, let me go back. I got myself a little confused. I'm sorry about that. What I'm trying to do here is I'm looking at the pitcher strikeouts. So everything I just showed you, if it was reversed where Philly was looking like shit against this pitcher, then I would go with the strikeouts for the pitcher. But because Philly looked so good against this pitcher, that's why I did it like that. It stood out to me. That's why I did it. That's a little bit of a weird thing, but what I'm trying to say, does this make sense, guys? Let me know if that makes sense. I'm kind of confusing myself a little bit. This is, like I mentioned, this is something that I'm working on, so it's still not something that's for sure that I'm doing. But what I'm looking for is pitcher strikeouts. So right now, I would be looking at all these pitchers that are going against these 5 teams. All right. So, anyways, back to this. I have Zach Neto, Jose Ramirez, Acuna Jr., Rodriguez, and Shohei Ohtani. I'm going to show you something else that I've been working on real quick. So, for example, this Zach Neto, I'm going even deeper on this. So I'm even looking at the pitcher versus the batter, very specific. So Jay Sears versus Neto, and then I'm looking at the graphs. So this guy tends to pitch on the corners right here. So I actually, before I would not even have looked at this, but now that I'm looking at it, I don't even like Neto, to be honest, because of this. I already kept it in there. I put it in. I left it in there. But you can see this dude throws in the top right corner, bottom left corner, bottom right corner. And this dude doesn't hit well. He hits 0, 0, 0, 0, all on the outside. So the whenever they're pitching inside, he's very good. But whenever they pitch outside, he's not good. So this guy tends to pitch outside and very little inside. I hope that makes sense. So I guess what I'm trying to say is now that I have this deeper research that I'm doing like this, there's going to be filtered out even better. So like right now, Zach Neto, I would not go with him if you're looking at this just now. I already did. I'm leaving it in there. I already threw it out there. There's a lot of other reasons why I did it. If you see my other videos, you see I do my research. But now that I'm adding this extra piece, I might be staying away from these players because I don't want to go against a batter that sucks on the outside corners, and then this guy is amazing on the outside corners. I hope that makes sense. So anyways, I think I've talked enough. I've explained a lot of different things. I know it was a little confusing at some points. So I appreciate you guys being here. And like I mentioned, these are the 5 batters that I'm going with. I had about 9 of them I threw out in the VIP. And then I'm looking at the mats as well. I'm still waiting for some stats to come in. Those 5 batter props, I told you about the Phillies first 5 innings. That one I did for half a unit because I'm still testing that stuff. I'm not for sure on that one yet. That's why I just did a half a unit on that. So if you want help building your bankroll, guys, check out the link in the description. I'm going to start doing like one-on-one services. If you guys are interested in learning how to do all this stuff and getting all the resources that I use and the tools and all that stuff, check out the links in the description or the pinned comment. I appreciate you all, man. Let's have another great day. We're on a 2-day winning streak right now. Thank you, guys.